As you settle into that comfortable seated position, as always, it can be really nice to bring a pillow, a cushion, a folded blanket, something underneath your bottom. And of course, as always, if you'd rather stay lying, you're very welcome. Just letting the body start to settle into whatever position is working for you. Letting the hands rest somewhere comfortable. Just noticing the way that your body connects down to the earth tonight. As you settle in with your breath, maybe these first few out breaths, just an opportunity to connect our body a bit more mindfully down to the earth underneath us. And as we connect downwards, feeling into the support underneath you, the floor, the earth. Connecting and honouring to the traditional owners of the land that we're practicing on tonight. Where I am, that's the Wurundjeri, the Jadwa, the Jadwajali, the Aboriginal and the Wurundjeri people. And as we honour this earth that we connect down into, we honour ourselves in showing up, in taking this time, creating this little bit of space in our life. And we can approach a little bit differently if we'd like. And as you settle into your space, just checking in with where you're at today. Just seeing what's happening for you physically right now. Noticing perhaps what's happening for you mentally, emotionally right now. Seeing if we can bring to mind an intention for our practice tonight. Perhaps there's a word or a phrase or a feeling, something that you would like to focus on, something you would like to feel throughout this practice. And then just gently holding that word or phrase in your awareness. You might like to add the words I am at the start if it's a feeling or something we can embody through this practice. Perhaps as you breathe in, drawing in that sense of space into the body, that height through the spine. Breathing out, connecting down to the earth underneath you. Breathing in, drawing in this intention deep down into the lungs, and exhale, letting it settle in your body, settle in your mind. Just taking one or two more breaths with your intention. And then as you feel ready, gently finding that comfortable seat, and we'll start with some seated side bends. To begin with, bringing the left hand down to the floor, inhale the right arm up and over. You can bend into this left elbow as much as you like. You can reach more up towards the ceiling or really bend into it, reaching over. Just making sure this left shoulder stays comfortably down away from the ears. And as you settle into this shape, maybe notice, can you feel a bit of length through these right side ribs? If you need to adjust this top arm in any way, make sure you do. Let's take two more breaths here. And then breathing in, we'll come upright and we'll set ourselves on the other side. Right hand coming down, that left hand reaching up, maybe a little over. As you find your breath here. And as you inhale, can you find that space, that stretch in the left side of the ribs? Exhale, maybe noticing it settle. And then let's move gently with our breath side to side. Inhale to reach up, swapping the arms. Exhale, that gentle bend. Finding that rhythm with your breath, listening to the rhythm of your breath and then moving gently in time, whether it's a little faster or slower. As an option here, you may like to inhale, come upright, and exhale, rather than touching down the bottom hand, you might like to explore tucking it behind your back. So rather than that support from the hand, we're holding that strength through the core as we gently side bend. So you might find you need to make that movement smaller if you're taking this option. But know you can keep touching down with that hand. Let's gently take one more to each side with our breath. The next inhale will bring us gently upright. We'll bring the arms down. Hands over kneecaps, and we'll take our cat and cow. So the first inhale, drawing us up tall. Then as we breathe out, tucking the chin, pulling the back away behind us as we pull the arms straight. Inhale, drawing the chest, the belly forwards. And exhale, drawing back. Finding that rhythm forwards and backwards with your spine. As you move, just noticing any sensations that come with your breath here. Let's take 2 more rounds with our breath. Coming back up tall. Let's make our way over onto hands and knees, popping any props out of the way. Setting up strong with the wrists under the shoulders, the knees under the hips. And from here, we'll gradually make our way to a gate pose. That first step, taking the right foot back, stretching the leg out long, tucking the toes, feeling that stretch down the back of the leg. Noticing tonight how that feels for you, if it feels a little tight. There's some nice mobility there, whatever that is for you. And then let's gently rotate that right foot around to the side, right toes pointing away. The left foot can stay where it is, or it can move away behind us in the opposite direction. Weight into the left hand so we reach the right hand up tall. And finding that strength through everything that's in contact with the floor. That smooth, steady breath here. And then taking some cycles with the top arm, if that feels comfortable for you. Some nice steady sweeps in front of the body and up overhead. We'll go in both directions, so just taking whichever direction feels most natural for you. We'll reverse it in a few moments, just taking those cycles with your breath. And then when you're ready, gently changing directions. Yeah, can you feel length and space in the body as you breathe in? And how can you connect down a little more firmly as you breathe out? The next time that arm comes up and over the ear, let's keep it there, reaching long towards the front of your space. Maybe the back foot stays down, or maybe it lifts a little here, like we're stamping on a wall behind us. Just staying for 2 smooth, steady breaths with whichever option works for you. And then the next time you breathe out, let's release back over to all fours, bringing the right hand down, the right knee in. A bit of movement here, maybe some circles or some cat and cows. And then we'll come over to the other side. So from all fours, taking the left leg back, tucking the toes, feeling into that stretch down the back of the leg. After a breath or so here, if you know where you're going, go straight there. As we spin the left foot flat, turning the toes away to the left, the right foot moves away behind us. Pressing firm into the right hand as we reach the left arm tall this time. Really anchoring down, finding strength through that connection to the floor. And then when you're ready, finding those cycles with the arm with your breath. And seeing how much we can still keep the chest open to the left side of your space, rather than rotating down towards the floor. Just bring this movement through the shoulder. And if it's uncomfortable in any way, knowing you could change it, you could make them smaller or lead with the elbow. You could bring the hand to the hip or leave it out altogether. If you're cycling, let's take it in the other direction for a few rounds. Linking that smooth movement with your breath. And then coming along over the ear as you're ready, maybe staying right here, or if it works for you, you can lift that back foot up any amount. If you do lift, just pulling the toes back towards the knee, feeling that strength in the back foot. If you're still comfortable here, let's take one more breath in. And then that gentle release back to all fours. Whatever movement you need. And then finding your favorite child's pose, whatever version of child's pose feels like the best fit for you right now. Bringing in any supports you need here underneath the hips, underneath the head. And perhaps just reconnecting with that intention. And that when we deliberately choose an intention for ourselves, it helps to shape our experience. And it gives us the chance to approach our practice with this in mind. So your intention may help shape how you approach the physical side of the practice, what poses feel right, what options feel right for you tonight. It might help you approach the mental, emotional side of your practice, the way we think about our practice as we're moving through it. Let's just take 2 more smooth, steady breaths here in this nice supported place. And then gently make your way up as you feel ready. Coming to all fours here. From here, tucking the toes, and we can find our downward dog, pressing into the hands, pressing to the feet, taking the hips up high, finding that straightness in the spine as we bend as much as we need to through the legs. Maybe you want to pedal your legs first. Maybe you feel comfortable finding that stillness straight away. And then we'll slowly make our way up to stand. So walking the hands back towards the feet if this version works for you. As the feet come flat, bending through the knees a little more, let's roll up gradually. The hands can hang heavy or can walk up the body for support. As we arrive at the top of our mat, maybe a roll through the shoulders, opening the front of the chest. And that space in the front of the body as we straighten upright. As we settle into our mountain pose, feet that hip width apart, palms towards the body or turned out front. Let's take one more smooth, steady breath here. And then breathing in, we'll come up overhead, taking our side bends, holding onto the right wrist. Exhale, lifting, lengthening, gently easing over to the left. Inhale to center, swapping the hands over, coming over to the right. Taking that one more to each side, to whatever degree your body needs tonight. And as we come back upright, let's find our gentle back bend. Palms facing forwards, arms drawing back towards the ears. Can we engage the bottom here and take the gaze up to the top of the wall in front? Maybe we stay right here, or maybe we start to take the gaze back across the ceiling. Really strong in the lower belly and the low back with those glutes switched on. A bit of a lift and a lengthen through the chest bone, the upper spine, bending to whatever degree we can keep that smooth, comfortable breath. Let's take one more breath here. And the inhale can draw us upright. The exhale, folding forwards, knees bending belly to thighs. Touching down with the hands on the mat, the ankles, the backs of the knees, whatever feels right for you here. See if we can get a sense of the belly being really supported here by the thighs, letting the lower back soften and lengthen. You might look down at the feet, or you might relax the top of the head down, looking away behind you. If you're looking away behind, maybe you want to move the head a little, maybe just a little forwards and back or a little side to side. The head really heavy, the neck relaxed. Then from here, let's transition back to our lunge. So right foot stepping back, right knee coming down. You can keep those back toes tucked under or flat on the floor, whatever feels right for you. And then if you'd like to, you can come up onto the thigh. You can definitely stay down low. Really pressing down firmly through both legs and easing the hips back a little rather than dumping down as far as we can possibly go. Let's come back. We tuck the tailbone under, long through the back of the hips here. Let's take a breath or two here in neutral. Can we find a nice length in the front of the right thigh? And then from here, we can turn it into a little bit of a twist. So this is an optional extra. You can stay in your neutral lunge if you'd like. Otherwise, we can bring the back of the right hand around the outside of the left thigh. So you can stay quite upright and use that hand. You might bring the other one around the lower back or to the back of the hips. Finding a little bit of a rotation from here, really long through the spine. This feels really comfortable and you'd like a little more. You might slide the back of the arm further down the leg or down the across the thigh to the point where the elbow crosses over, and then bringing both hands to prayer and extending in one long line, elbow to elbow. And then we're pressing into these hands to bring the chest further around towards the thumbs, just to whatever degree is comfortable. So either option, we can be more upright and have the back of the hand across the thigh, or we can have the elbow crossed with that little bit of a lean forwards as well. Using the breath, using the sensations in the body to work out what feels like the right option. If you're in this twisting version, let's just take one more full breath here. Slowly releasing that twist, coming back to neutral. And then let's step back for plank. Bringing both legs around. Knees down or lifted, whatever feels like the better place for you to be tonight. Let's line up the wrists under the shoulders and press strongly through the whole of each hand. Really finding that space, that lift in between the shoulder blades. Can we stay with that lift as we inhale to lower down any amount and exhale, press back up. Finding that rhythm with your breath. Noticing the space across the shoulders, can it stay? And if not, can we make that movement a little smaller, a little more controlled next time? Let's take one more round of that smooth, steady breath. Tucking the toes under, we'll draw our hips back, feeling that bit of length, a bit of pull from the hands, the arms, the shoulders. And from here, we have the option to take a little bit of a flow tonight, so you can definitely stay here with the breath for a little bit longer. If you'd like to find a flow, inhale, we arch ourselves forwards, a bit like a cat pose. Exhale, coming into a little bit like a cow pose and taking ourselves back towards the heels. Just a bit of a cycle through. Inhale to arch up, lifting forwards. Exhale, a little bit of a bend in the elbows too, perhaps as we arch the belly down, drawing back. As always, making sure it feels good for you. And then let's see if we can go in the other direction. So the next time you settle the hips back, arms long, perhaps inhaling, bending through the elbows, drawing the chest and the belly a little closer to the floor as we arch forwards. Then lifting, rounding through the spine as we draw back. Finding whatever degree of this movement, can be a really small version of this movement. With your breath here, make sure the breath is smooth and flowing. It'll give you a really good idea of whether this movement is a good one for you tonight. And then we have the option of a new transition. So to come forwards to our Sphinx pose, if you're taking this arch forwards, we can bring the forearms all the way to the mat, sliding them along and bringing out the front of our hips down as well. You can explore that movement forwards to Sphinx. If that doesn't work for you or you're not sure, we come back to our plank position and then we can step the elbows down from there with the hips. So we end up in the same position regardless of which way we went. Pressing the tops of the feet and the front of the hips down into the floor, elbows underneath shoulders. Let's press through the whole of each forearm as we draw the chest forwards. Finding that smooth, steady breath. You can feel that squeeze gently engage and release in the lower back as you breathe. If you'd like a little more, we can always press into the hands and lift the elbows. Just making sure the shoulders stay down away from the ears and we can keep that smooth, steady breath. Always release back to the floor anytime you need. Let's take one more smooth breath in here. And exhale, roll, release back down to the mat. Bringing the hands under the forehead, let's bend both knees, pointing the feet up towards the ceiling. Taking a little bit of a rock side to side. Checking in with your breath, checking in with any sensation in the lower back here. Then as you're ready, making your way up to downward dog. Taking your time. Pressing through the whole of each hand, pressing through the feet. Really long from the hands all the way to the hips. Chest drawing back towards the legs. And letting the heels soften down towards the floor. There's a lot happening in our downward dog. So perhaps while we're here reconnecting with your breath, reconnecting with your intention, using that intention to guide your awareness. So what aspect of this shape do you want to pay attention to? Even what the intention is that you've set to know. I mean, you can always release or pause or child's pose anytime you need. If you'd like to join me, we can explore three-legged dog. Rounding through the right foot, lifting the left heel up. Strong through the hands as that left foot reaches away. You can release that left foot back to the floor, perhaps coming over to the right leg lift this time. And 2 breaths in whatever option is working for you here. Next inhale, let's rise up onto the toes of the left foot if you've got the right one lifted. Exhale, curling the right knee towards the chest. We make that step up towards the hands. Aiming to step in between the hands, but knowing we can help it along however much we need to here. Grounding strong through both feet. You could stay down with the hands on the floor. Bringing both hands up onto the thigh if you would like to. Our right foot step forward, our left leg back underneath us. Just taking a breath or two, checking into this neutral version of our lunge, deciding whether you'd like to stay here or take that twisting option. So if you're taking that twist, let's take the back of the left hand across the outer thigh, perhaps wrapping the right hand around you as you extend up tall and twist gently away to the right. This feels really good and you like a little more, starting to lean forwards. Sliding that left elbow across the right thigh this time. Bringing both hands together. And pressing firm into both hands, drawing the chest bone around towards the thumbs. Just whatever degree that works for you, finding that smooth, steady breath. Just taking one more full breath. Releasing from that twist. Bringing the hands down and let's step that back foot forwards, finding our forward fold. Strong connection through the whole of each foot. Maybe finding a little fluid movement here by holding the opposite elbows and allowing the arms, the upper body to sway. Only if it feels comfortable and right. And slowly releasing the hands, let's come up to stand, bending the hips, rolling gently, smoothly with the breath. As we slowly uncurl, drawing ourselves upright, let's bring the arms up overhead as well. Bringing the hands overhead and slowly down in front of the heart. As we arrive back here, just taking a moment or two to check in with your intention again. A chance to recalibrate as we steady with the breath, steady our balance through the feet. One last breath here. And then let's release the hands. Just having a bit of a squeeze and release here. Maybe a bit of a roll through the wrists. And then we'll find a strong standing position, connecting through both feet here. We'll explore a bit of a side lift with the leg and cross behind. So you might bring your hands to the hips. As we get into the rhythm of the movement, you might find you want to bring them together in front of the heart. With that inhale, we're grounding through the right foot, taking the left foot out to the side. You can touch down with the toes or lift the leg. Either option is completely fine. With that exhale, we're going to bend into the standing leg and cross that left foot behind. So inhale, we're extending out to the side, and exhale, crossing behind. You can touch the toes down or float them on either side of that movement. And you can stay with this rhythm, or you can really perhaps push the boundaries of that movement. If it fits in with your intention, you could bend that leg a little more and really slide that left leg away behind. You might find if you're taking those larger movements, you've got to release that movement and breath rhythm and just find a smooth, steady breath, because it can take a bit longer to really extend that leg away behind. We don't want to be holding our breath while we're doing it. Just finding whatever version of this movement works for you. Perhaps noting whatever sensations come along with it. Do you feel it mostly in the leg that's moving or in the leg that's stabilizing here? If you're ready to add one more layer of challenge, as I said before, you can bring the hands together in front of the heart, or you can move with the arms as well. So maybe as we inhale, we can extend the arms out wide. As we exhale, tapping opposite shoulders, just coming across in front of the body. Let's take 2 or 3 more rounds, just with your own smooth, steady breath. That standing leg is probably feeling it a little bit by now. One last time through. Great job. So let's take our left foot out to the side. We're going to touch down that left foot this time and turn it into a goddess squat. So we take the feet a little bit wider than the hips, turning the toes out. As you bounce a little into the knees nice and gently, checking that the angle of the feet and the toes are tracking together. Remembering you might need to adjust your feet in or out as we settle in. And then let's find that slide down that imaginary wall behind us, really long in the low spine, nice and neutral through the pelvis. Strongly connecting through both feet. And then let's move with our breath. So inhale, driving up through the legs, arms up overhead. Exhale, sliding down that imaginary wall behind us as we bring the hands down in front. Seeing how much control we can bring, particularly to that lowering down movement. Can we engage the legs really pushing through the feet for that resistance? Making this movement as big or as small as you need. Let's take 2 or 3 more rounds with your own breath. One last time through, and we'll stay in our goddess spot this time. So bear that in mind with how deep you come. We'll be staying here for a little while. We want it to feel a good amount of challenge, or perhaps on the gentle side if that fits with your intention tonight. Pressing through the whole of each foot. Can you feel that strength through the top of the legs, through the glutes here? And then we'll turn it into a side bend. So either bringing the left hand or the left forearm onto the thigh, whatever fits better for your spine, for these right ribs. Inhale, let's lift the right arm up and over. And then we'll move side to side like that. So each inhale brings us up. Each exhale takes us over, finding whatever depth of side bend works for you. Finding that flowing rhythm here. Make sure we've got that strength and stability through the lower half of the body. How much can we bring this lovely sense of flowing motion through the upper body? Now, as we do with our seated side bends at the start of the class, you might like to release that bottom hand around the body, being aware that that requires the back to carry the load, the shoulders for you and your breath. If not, knowing we can bring those hands back down anytime we need. Let's take one more to the left, one more to the right, just finishing off that last sequence in your own time. And coming back upright, bring the arms down. Let's drive up strong through the feet. We'll heel toe the feet just back into center. Maybe a little bit of a pedal here. And from here we'll find a chair pose. So you could bring the feet together. It's going to require a little more work through the legs, a little more from our sense of balance. So you could work here. Or you could step them about hip width apart and leave that completely up to you where you want to take it tonight. And we hinge at the front of the hips, starting to sit the bottom back. And similar to our goddess pose, even though we're leaning forwards, can we have this sense of space and length in the lower spine? Pelvis is nice and neutral as if we're sitting on a chair behind us. Finding that smooth, steady breath. Deciding, do you want to stay right here with the hands? Do you want to bring them around in front? Or do you want to bring them up overhead? This overhead one again adds load to the back and the shoulders, so checking with the breath. If you prefer them around in front or on the hips, take that option. Then we're going to do 2 actions with the legs. The first one is a squeezing in together. If the legs are together, they'll be just squeezing into each other. If they're apart, they'll be squeezing into this imaginary space between our thighs. Finding a smooth, steady breath. And then if you want to add on one more layer, we can lift the heels. You can either lift them a little or come up as high as you can on your toes. Again, it's completely optional. If it feels right for you to stay fully grounded through both feet, take that option. Wherever you are, can you find a sense of ease in the breath here? Taking one more full breath. And then lifting up tall. If you've got the heels lifted, see if you can keep them lifted as you straighten up tall. And then if you have the heels lifted, just lowering them back down to the mat, to the floor. Perhaps a little bit of a pedal, a little bit of a roll of the shoulders, whatever feels like a nice releasing movement for you. And then we'll do all that on the other side. So we're going to take those side lifts, which hopefully I get the right side, otherwise we're going to do double on the same side. I think we're grounding through the left side this time and taking that lift and cross with the right. I'm getting some thumbs up, so that's a good sign. Thanks, Amanda. And so we're going to step out to the side with the inhale, bending a little more into the left leg, the exhale crossing us behind. Perhaps taking just these first few rounds with the more gentle option. Just getting used to that movement, feeling into that shape tonight, and adding on as you're ready, perhaps bigger movements, perhaps floating the toes at either end. And remembering if you are taking that leg a longer way behind with a bigger bend in that leg, maybe releasing that one movement to one breath and just finding a smooth, comfortable breath. And then if you'd like to, we can add on those arms as well. So inhale out wide, exhale to cross, leg behind, crossing the hands to opposite shoulders. Really engaging the brain here, working with the body across the midline. You want to get really funky about it. See if you can alternate which way you cross your arms. The more you concentrate, perhaps notice any effects that has on your balance. Again, just getting curious around all of that. No judgments or expectations. If it's still working for you, let's take 2 more rounds. Beautiful. Well done, everyone. Let's come up. Bring the arms down and we'll take that right leg out to the side one more time as we gently land. Finding that goddess squat again. The feet a little wider than the hips, the toes turned out to that comfortable angle. Feeling that gentle settle in. Length through the lower back as we slide down behind us. As we settle in this time, let's feel both, the whole of each foot really planted and strong. And then maybe taking a little side to side here. Lengthening one leg a little as we take it over to one side, making sure it feels okay for the knees as we breathe smooth and steady here. Beautiful work. Well done. Coming back to center. We can bring both hands to the inner thighs, or you could bring them down close to the knees. If you're coming closer to the knees, making sure you're leaning forwards with a long spine rather than hunching forwards. Really long from tailbone up to the crown of the head. And then we'll take those awkward twists. So we straighten through the left arm, pushing this left shoulder towards the right knee. Doesn't matter how far towards it goes, it just goes in that direction. And if it feels okay for the neck, we can look away over the right shoulder. Finding your smooth, steady breath. One more breath here to whatever degree is comfortable for you. And then inhale, let's gently release ourselves to center. And then over to the other side, the right arm extending long, gently easing its way towards the left knee. Again, maybe adding that little bit of a twist up through the neck as we look away over the left shoulder. Can we feel that strength and stability here with a little bit of a twist, a little bit of length through the sides and back of the body. And let's gently make our way back to center. Coming upright as we straighten the legs and walk them in. As we arrive back in, maybe a roll through the shoulders. We're going to set ourselves up for that chair pose one more time. Deciding whether you'd like to try the same option as last time, whether it was legs together or legs apart, or you want to swap to the other one. Connecting strongly through the whole of each foot. And then finding that sit back with the hips long through the spine here. Particularly if you've got a little bit of movement in the spine, just making sure these lowest ribs stay in line with the body. Sometimes these lowest ribs can kind of kick out forwards. We want to tuck them in so they're really strong and contained through the core. Deciding where you'd like the arms to go on this side. Do they stay where they are? Do they hug that front up? Squeezing the legs towards each other, so either in towards each other if they're together or into that imaginary lock here. Then if you'd like to take that heel lift this time, we'll make it moving. So inhale, we'll lift up, and exhale to lower down with as much control as we can. And if you're taking this moving option, see how much control you can bring, particularly to the lower back down. And that breath smooth and steady for 2 more rounds, whether you're moving or still. And then that next inhale, you might like to add the sweep arms up overhead as we come up onto the balls of the feet. And then lowering back down, standing up tall. Releasing the breath, releasing the body in whatever way you need to. And we're going to come into a standing pigeon pose. As I usually do, I'm going to layer on the options, so there will be gentler options to take. But if you find you want to explore some of the more challenging elements of it and the balance is an issue, you've got two options. You could come to a wall in your space and have the hands on the wall as we work with the lower body part of it. Or you could bring your hands onto the back of the chair. So just some options if you find that the balance is challenging, but you want to explore the harder end of what's happening in the legs. Completely optional, because I'll show you the gentler ways to do it as well. So it starts a little bit like our chair pose, bringing our weight over to our right foot, bending the left knee, we'll turn it out to the side. If you're keeping this left foot grounded, we're going to bring the left heel in front of the right ankle. And so that front foot is squeezing back into the back foot. And this knee's gently turning out to the side, just to whatever degree it feels good for the hips. If this feels really good and you'd like a little more, we start sliding this leg, the left leg up to the right leg, coming up over the knee. We can help it along if it doesn't quite reach there. Really squeezing in. And if you think about our pigeon pose that we do sometimes on our back, on the floor, it's a really similar version. Now this is where if you're wanting to try this version, but the balance isn't playing tonight, you might bring a chair in front, you might find the wall. If this is feeling okay, from here we can start to sit the hips back. So it's a little bit like our chair pose. We sit the hips back behind. We keep the spine long, these lowest ribs tucked in. Sitting as far as it's comfortable for you. Again, it might be a tiny sit. You might find you can sit the bottom a long way back, really exploring what element, what degree feels right for that movement for you. Wherever you found yourself, let's take 2 smooth, steady breaths. Beautiful work. I love seeing all the different options that people take. It makes me really happy that everyone's finding that right version for them. Next inhale, let's draw ourselves up tall. Release that left leg and have a bit of a pedal, bit of a roll of the joints. Maybe you need here as we release the shape. And then we'll come over to the other side. So grounding strong through the left leg. Just a reminder of those options. If you know where you want to take it, go straight there. Turning the right knee out, we can sit that right foot on top of the left. That heel pressing back as the knee gently opens. Maybe starting to slide this foot up, bringing it up over the knee. Squeezing strong in together as the right knee gently eases to the side. And then again, you could stay up quite tall with a little bit of a bend, or you could really try and sit that bottom back, finding that smooth, steady breath. Any of those versions with support, without support, whatever your body needs tonight. Let's see if we can take 2 more smooth, steady breaths here. And that slow, gentle lift and release. Again, as we unwind, check in with any of those sensations. Decide what movement feels right for you here. Beautiful. And we have the option to come one more time through that sequence. Because it's a pose we don't do very often, sometimes that first time through can just be a chance to get our body used to what it's trying to do. So if you'd like to take another chance on each side, you can. If you'd rather, you can come back to that goddess squat and take some rounds with your breath, or you could make your way down to the mat for a resting pose. I'm going to come a little closer so anyone heading through that second round of the standing pigeon, I can take a bit of a closer look. And so we'll start with the right foot grounding that left leg out to the side. Really finding that connection between the left foot and ankle and that right leg, taking it to wherever you'd like it to be. Sitting the hips as far back as you would comfortably like to. Just checking in with those lowest ribs. Can we keep them tucked and long in line with the body?
If you're finding that version quite comfortable with the hips sitting a long way back, you could try bringing the hands together in front of your heart and tilting the forearms forwards towards that lifted shin. So we're sort of closing in closer and closer towards the lifted leg, if that feels comfortable for you. Just taking one more breath wherever you are. And then that gentle lift and release as you're ready. Again, checking in with those sensations as we come back up. It's important to check in, particularly with the joints in these poses where one hip's doing one thing, one hip's doing the other thing. Sometimes it feels okay in the pose, but as we come out, there's a little tweak or a twinge letting us know perhaps that degree wasn't brilliant for our hips. And then as you're ready, finding that other side. So grounding through, I've forgotten what side we're up to, but I'm sure you guys will know which side. So left leg grounding, right knee lifted. Thanks, Brenda. And finding that height that works for you. I'm definitely not going to put this one up on YouTube with all my stuttering going on tonight. So finding that depth that works. Recognizing it might be really different to the other side, or it might be really different to what you would take on another night. Once you've found that place, taking anywhere from 2 to 5 smooth, steady breaths. Beautiful, everyone. Well done. And releasing gently as you're ready. And then perhaps planting the feet a little bit wide, finding a nice standing spin. And it's up to you with your standing spin whether you keep the feet planted and bring that twist a little more through the waist and the upper spine, or whether you want to lift and turn that outside foot. So it's more through the hips and the spine moves a little more as one, taking whichever those options feels better for you. Beautiful. We'll come back to center and we'll make our way to the back of our space, just making sure you've got some room in front of you. For a nice, slow, steady roll down, or you could come down to the mat any other way that works for you. If you're rolling, we tuck the chin, rounding the shoulders forwards, letting the arms hang heavy, or maybe they walk down the legs. And that stretch, that release through the spine. Feeling the way the hands connect with the floor once we arrive. Starting to walk ourselves back forwards to our downward dog. Knowing this will be our last downward dog for the evening, are there any movements here you'd like to make, whether it's a pedal of the legs or gently easing the hips to one side and then the other? Or perhaps you'd like to release to all fours straight away. And then that slow release of the knees. We feel them soften. If you'd like to, you could hover the knees an inch or two above the floor, really strong across the upper back. As you feel ready, settling the knees down. Perhaps taking again that side to side with the hips, or some circles with the shoulders. And then let's come to sit on our bottoms, bringing our legs around in front. And from here, we'll take a deer pose. So with both feet flat, we'll tuck the left foot underneath the right thigh. Then taking the right leg around to the right, tucking it around beside us. And then you can adjust those legs however you need, making sure it feels comfortable for the knees and the hips. We can bring both hands around just either side of this left knee. And then it's up to you whether you'd like to come straight forwards, finding maybe the forearms for a bit of a fold here, or you might like to move with the breath. I like to plant the fingertips personally. You might have the hands flat. Inhale to roll up and exhale to release down. So completely up to you if you stay folded straight away or if you want to find a bit of a flow here first. Perhaps tuning back into that intention, deciding what you need for your practice right now. Let's take 2 more rounds with our breath, whether you're flowing or you're still. And then we'll all gently make our way back upright. And we'll swap it over to the other side. So you can either do that with support with the hands behind. You may choose to bring the hands in front and see if you can do it without that support from the hands. So if you're going from the start from feet flat, we cross that right foot underneath the left thigh and then take the left foot around beside us. Adjusting however you need. We twist a little towards this right knee, hands firmly planted, and then finding either that flow with your breath, inhale to roll up, exhale to lower, or that nice support from the forearms, maybe stacking the fists for the head to rest down. Again, let's take 2 more breaths, either flowing or still. Coming back up slowly, gently. Bring that back leg around. Coming all the way down onto our backs this time. That nice steady lower as you're ready. Bring the knees towards the chest, maybe a bit of a rock from side to side here. And let's set up for our bridge pose. So bringing both feet flat underneath the knees. Arms down beside us. When you're feeling grounded and steady here on the floor, inhale, rolling the bottom, the lower back up off the floor. And exhale, releasing back down in the opposite order. So slowly lowering from the top of the spine down towards the back of the hips. Slow roll with the breath. You might stay as you are, the arms resting beside you. Or you might like to add them into that movement. The inhale, lifting the hips and lifting the arms up overhead if you'd like. And the exhale, that slow, steady lower back down. You can stay with that movement, or if you'd like to find a last little strengthening pose, pressing into the feet, and we interlace the hands underneath the bottom. A bit of a rock side to side to tuck the shoulder blades in towards each other, pushing the chest up a little more. Maybe you stay right here. Find that smooth, steady breath, really grounding strong through the arms and the feet. Remembering you can release and find that flowing version with your breath anytime you need. Really engaging the bottom and the back of the thighs if you're taking this lifted version. Let's take 2 more breaths, whichever version is working for you. If you've got those hands interlaced, inhale, let's release them. Settling the shoulders back down, and exhale, that rolling back down to the mat. And then however you've come down, let's bring the knees in towards the chest. A bit of a forward fold movement here to counteract that back bend. And taking your reclining twist in whatever way works for you. So you may like to plant the feet and just gently take the knees flowing side to side. Or you might like to take them as we normally do, one leg crossing over the other, that little shuffle of the hips, and then folding that lifted leg over the top of your twist as you gently ease the legs away to the side. If you're taking that version where you're holding, just take 3 full steady breaths on that side. When you're ready in your own time, returning to center and swapping over, if you're taking that one-sided option. Letting the whole body soften into this shape, feeling that support through the arms and the shoulders.
Again, as you finish those 3 smooth, steady breaths, gently returning back to center in your own time. And then making your way to your comfortable resting place with whatever props or layers you need. And as you find your way gradually into stillness, just finding that sense of release in whatever way feels right for you. You could release with some deep sighs through the breath. You could release with a scrunch of the hands and the feet, and then a gentle letting them go, letting them soften. As our breath returns to its natural rhythm, as our body finds its still resting place, seeing if with our smooth, steady breath, each time we breathe in, we can draw in this beautiful calming white light in through the crown of the head and down to the heart. Each time we breathe out, can we feel that light spread to every part of our being, bringing with it a sense of lightness, a sense of spaciousness, a sense of relaxation and calm. And if it's appropriate for you, this light might also carry with it our intention, that word or words, either flowing in with our breath or perhaps just resting in the background of our awareness. We take this time in stillness. Slowly starting to bring our awareness back into our physical body.
As you feel ready, drawing the breath in a little deeper, finding some movement in the fingers and the toes. I like to draw the knees in towards the chest or stretch yourself out long. Any movement that feels right for you, right here, right now. And gently, mindfully making your way back up to a tall, comfortable seat. Connecting down through the sitting bones, the legs, the feet. You might like to join me bringing your hands together in front of your heart. This gentle symbol to close our time together. Knowing that if it serves you, you can carry your intention with you into the rest of your evening. You can gently leave it in this practice space and head into the rest of your night, onto whatever comes next for you. My heart to yours, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great evening. Thank you.